Whoa. Out on the street for a living. Pictures only begun. Got you under their thumb. Hit it. Out on the streets for a living. Pictures only begun. Your day is sorrow and madness. Got you under their thumb. Woo, woo, black diamond. Darkness will fall on the city. It seems to follow you too. And though you don't ask for pity, there's nothing that you can do. Woo, woo, woo. Black diamond. Out on the streets for a living. Pictures only begun. Your day is sorrow and madness. Got you under their thumb. Woo, woo, woo. Black diamond. I don't know the lyrics. I don't know the lyrics of that song. But I thought I would read it. I really like that song, actually. There's a great performance of them in 1975. You know, it's funny. I've always sort of borderline. I'm not a big Kiss guy, as you know. I hope I don't get a lot of heat from the Kiss Army for this video. You know, like that's what happened with the Sex Pistols. I have a lot of guys, Pistol fans, pistol whipping me for my treatment of Johnny Rotten. I just want to put it out there. I casually enjoy some Kiss songs. Like some of them are okay. I love Gun is my favorite, and Black Diamond is when I legitimately saw what I think all of their fans see in the band that they love so much. You know, Paul and Gene, they're like a mixed bag. There's stuff that I really like about them, and there's a lot of stuff I don't. I love that they're both Jews. I love that because you know, it's just nice to see some Jews, you know, out there dominating, kicking butt, taking names, and that's what they did. They dominated, you know. And I have a lot of respect for Paul Stanley and his, you know, Paul Stanley's missing an ear, and felt very self-conscious about his whole life, and like really like put himself out there and applied himself. And he wrote about it in I think in a book or something. And he went out. He wanted to be an actor, so he was doing Phantom of the Opera and did a great job with that. So I just want to say a few positive things before we go into this, because these guys are, you know, they could be quite buffoonish too. I think anybody would admit that they could be buffoonish, no matter how much you love Kiss as an entity or whatnot. From what I can see from Kiss fandom, which again, forgive my ignorance if I'm wrong, it almost seems like, you know, the real diehard Kiss fans from like the 70s that they like really love, like it's all about Ace and Peter almost as much, you know, or especially Ace. Ace seems to be a big draw. But again, that's someone from the outside looking in. This show is all about beefs. That's what we talk about. We talk about beefs. Beef. You want beef? I got to get the clip. That's what I got to do, because none of you know what I'm talking about when I do that. That's Nicolas Cage in the best. It's so good. It's so good. A Score to Settle, everybody. Go to the end of A Score to Settle and watch Nicolas do beef. Beef. You want beef? I'll give you beef. No, we're discussing beefs. I like to discuss beefs on the internet. They're fun fodder for us to discuss, you know. Yeah, you know, Robbie talks about Paul's autobiography. I have not listened to it all the way through, but all the clips are on YouTube, and so I've listened to a ton of the clips. That's how I know about some of this stuff. I know about he really sort of has it out for both Peter and Ace. You know, the thing about Kiss that you'll always see between those two guys and the two guys that left is there's always like a compliment followed by a backhanded slap. You know, it's always like, you know, Paul will be like, yeah, Peter would sing Beth every night and everybody loved it, but he couldn't sing. Or you always have to add. He couldn't just give him the thing. It's like you always just like add something onto it. Tonight's seltzer flavor is a Concord Clementine of the polar variety. Polar, I'm ready for a sponsorship, baby. You know where to find me. Yeah, if you have a chance, go check out Paul's autobiography. It's pretty interesting. I've also watched the Family Jewel show, which obviously is a very contrived show, but you know, it's fun to watch Gene Simmons, I mean, Gene Simmons came from nothing. Gene Simmons' mother, one of like the toughest women who ever lived, like raised Gene by herself, born in Haifa, Israel, before it was Israel, Holocaust survivor. You know, Gene's real name is Chaim something, and he had to come over here and really sort of learn, truly an immigrant story, just like Arnold Schwarzenegger, an immigrant success story. So, even when these guys act like a-holes, and we all know that Gene Simmons is a massive a-hole, I do have some reverence for him in what he has done in his life. It's pretty amazing. Wits, Chaim Wits. Yeah, it's very chewy. Yeah, and Paul had a lot of hustle, man, because yeah, as Robbie, what's the deal with his ear? He was made fun of, he was missing his ear, and then he had to overcome something with his ear in order to, I don't know, he overcomes something in his life with his ear. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But listen, that's enough of an interlude here. Let's get into it. So look, these guys have been partners for over 50 years, because before they were even a band called Kiss, which started in 1973 in New York City, they, their contemporaries were like the New York Dolls and whatchamacallit, what's his face? Harold Black and the Lustettes, and just like a bunch of bands, a bunch of New York bands that I can't pull out of the top of my head. They played with Blue Oyster Cult. They played with Iggy. I think they played with the Stooges. I'm not sure if they played with the Stooges or if they played with Iggy Pop. But Kiss came up 1973. That's when they started as Kiss. Started doing the makeup in 1973. Before that, they were in a band called Wicked Lester, and that also featured Paul and Gene. So Paul and Gene have been working together for way over 50 years. Not just 50 years. It'd be 50 years next year. Not in a year from now, it would be 50 years as a Kiss, but they've been doing Wicked Lester way longer. Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. Here it is. Stanley, Rob says, Stanley, the one-ear monster, they used to call him. He can only hear through one ear. It's called microtia. Yeah. And he was scrutinized as a kid, left him having to seek therapy for the rest of his life. And that's why he wore his hair long. Yeah. I mean, he's overcome incredible things. I do have respect. I mean, a lot, you see where those two dudes came from, and you see where like a lot of their character defects or a lot of their like, egotisticalness or all that stuff comes from their very, very humble beginnings, just having to fight to rise above and be something more than what they were, so these guys have been together 50 years, and like any, it evolves. Like, not only are you friends, because they start off right, they're friends. Not only are they friends, but they are hungry, they're driven, they're teammates, they're creative partners, they're business partners. They've toured the world, made millions and millions and millions of dollars, done a million photo shoots, a million music videos. They know everything about each other. You have to imagine that for as much touring as that they have done together, you have to think I mean, maybe there's a fluke and I don't know because I'm not a big fan, but every single Kiss show that's ever been played in the history of Kiss since 1973, 50 years of Kiss shows, has always had to have Gene and Paul, right? So you've always had Gene and Paul there. These guys know each other inside and out. And with that comes and here's the thing, the ugly side about touring and being in a band and being in close quarters. And it's not just with touring. I mean, it's with all artistic pursuits where you have to be close to someone at all times. You're going to see the ugly 23-hour underbelly. What does that mean? It means something like this. I broke this down on a podcast over a year ago. I'm going to break it down again because I think it applies to these guys, or in this situation. If you see somebody, let's say you know someone for 15 years and you only see them 1 hour per day or 1 hour per week. I think 1 hour per week is realistic. Let's say it's somebody who's on your bowling team and you bowl and you see them 1 hour a week, but you've seen them for 20 years. You say, I know this guy for 20 years, but the reality is you only spent that 1 hour a week. Or let's say that you know him for 5 years and you only spent 1 hour a week. 1 hour a week, that's 52 hours times 5 is 260-ish hours. Sorry, don't know my math that well. 260-ish hours. And then if you divide that up, so in reality, you haven't spent very much time with them at all. You've only spent 260 hours. Someone, divide that up. That's a bunch of weeks over a 5-year period. Now imagine that you spend 23 hours out of the day, or 12 hours, or 16 hours, or 18 hours out of the day, every day for weeks on end. You get to see every single side of that person. It's like living with someone, it's like living with someone. What's going on, Amy? Hope you had a nice Christmas. Welcome to the chat. You too, Robbie. Anybody else? Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, all of it. So, and then the other part of this, the other thing, sorry, I'm like just sucking tonight with the talking and not being very straightforward in what I'm trying to say. The other part of this is you have YouTube and you have cameramen, and we get this incredible trifecta of two guys that have literally spent years upon years upon years together, hating each other. Because that's the other thing too, is that like, again, you love each other. You're brothers. Brothers love each other and they hate each other. And like, for as much as Gene and Paul probably have some semblance of love, even if they can't stand being in the same room together, there's probably a deep reverence. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with friggin' Johnny and Joey Ramone. Those guys hate each other. They couldn't stand each other. They beef with each other. And yet at the same time, they were, inseparable partners. Johnny would never think of doing the Ramones without Joey, and Joey couldn't do the Ramones without Johnny. They were partners forever, no matter how much they disagreed or didn't get along. So it's like, here is this insane moment that's captured on camera and then uploaded on YouTube for us, where these two guys who spent so much time together are just like, ugh. And it's bad, man. I mean, it's not bad, but it's like, it's definitely cringy, and it's just something that you never expect to see. Like, if you hear that two people don't get along, like it's hard to imagine how the disagreements may or may not happen, but I don't know. We got John in the house. I know he's a big Kiss fan. He says he hung out with Paul in a recording studio in 1983 with two other friends, and he was the nicest guy. That's awesome. Answered all our questions and gave us a listening preview to their next record, Animalize. So there you go. There's a great example of Paul Stanley's good side. And Amy says, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons are business partners. Their businesses Kiss. They were never BFFs. They have a common goal and pretty similar ideas as to achieving their goal. Yes, I think that's the way it is the majority of the time. And I'm saying this as an outsider. I am not a diehard fan or have any kind of inside knowledge like the way maybe John or anybody who's a Kiss fan might know. But I would say, I would add on top of what Amy is saying here too, that even with all that said, those guys still must love each other or have some sort of, synergy or just connectiveness for each other, that they've been together for so long. So the point is, I just wanted to pour over each one of these factors that is definitely going to lead into what we're about to see right now. So let's keep the show moving along, trying to be brisk, not pour over. So what is this from? This is from, okay. So here's what we're about to watch here. This is the full interview. It's the full clip this is from December 12th, 1993. And it was prior to Kiss taping for Dick Clark's New Year's Eve show in 1994. So they're about 2 weeks out before the actual New Year's Eve is going to come rolling in, and they're sort of doing a pre-tape sort of situation for Dick Clark's show. And one other thing that we should recognize, as John mentioned as well. The oh shit, what was I about to say? Not John. What was I about to say? I just had a giant puddle. Let's briefly touch on the fact that these guys have taken off the makeup. So that's the other thing about Kiss. Kiss at a certain point in time, and I have to tell you, it's a baller move. What they did to take off their makeup when they did. And I'll tell you something. People love to dunk on Kiss without their makeup, and I don't. Again, no, I don't like any of that music. Completely over my head. However, I watched some live Kiss when they had the makeup off. I think Eric Carr was the drummer. I don't know who was playing second guitar. Maybe it was Vinnie Vincent. And I got to tell you, that stage show, the energy that they put on, it's just like an 80s hair metal band. Unbelievable. Unfriggin' believable. That, yeah, it's a baller move. It's like we've done the makeup thing for so long. We need to evolve. We need to grow. Let's take off the makeup. It was a brave move. It could have destroyed their career, and it didn't. They kept going, man. They kept going. They kept going throughout the 80s and into the 90s. They tried to jump in on the grunge thing too. They were doing the Kiss Unplugged situation. Amy says they've been working together for almost 50 years. Paul Stanley didn't even invite Gene to his wedding because of Gene's negative attitude towards the institution of marriage. So there you go. But again, I chalk that up to two brothers just like hating each other for the moment. You know, at the end of the day, those dudes have been through it all. And because they're business partners, they are a united front, even when they can't stand each other. Look at what the Rolling Stones, those guys hate Mick Jagger, like hate him. They've hated him for 30 years. But yet they still go out there and they're still the Rolling Stones and they're doing the Rolling Stone thing. For money, yes, but they're still doing it. They tried to do the solo career. Didn't work out for him. Keith Richards tried to do his solo album. Mick Jagger tried to do a solo album. It just doesn't, none of it stuck. So they went back doing the Rolling Stones. Really, really interesting to contrast with the Beatles, right? Who, they love to sort of dunk on the Beatles and be like, yeah, we're still going, doing stadium shows. It's like, yo, the Beatles, like they stopped in 1970. You know what I mean? Like they're not, you don't see the old tired Beatles doing their old tired Beatle thing. Paul McCartney performs his songs, rightfully so. So does Ringo, but it's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it. No, I just to note again, all of this just to take a note that they are not wearing their makeup in this video, and it's they're trying to sort of do a 90s grunge thing. It's not really working. They chase the trends, they kind of were out to chasing the trends, and then what happens is about 2 years from now they reunite with Ace and Peter and they go back to doing the makeup thing, and it's one of the most successful rock and roll reunions there ever was. I mean, they made millions. Well, Paul and Gene made millions of dollars, and Ace and Peter got kind of screwed over, depending on whose side of the story you stand on, what POV you think is correct. Some people think that they got a raw deal, and the other people are going, no, you know what? They left the band, now they come back in, they're not equal partners anymore. So I don't know. There's a lot of people that probably stand on different sides of the situation. At least they still work with each other. Yeah, the Gallagher boys, actual brothers, cannot. It's very true. From Oasis, they can't. John says, I know a lot of Misfits fans won't agree, but there's a lot of older Misfits fans that feel a kinship with Kiss. John, I actually do agree with you, and I have seen that. There are a lot of people that are big Kiss fans that are also Misfit fans, and some of the older ones. I know Steve Zing is a big Kiss fan, or at least he used to be a big Kiss fan on some level. John says it's because of the theatrics. Lord says their retirement was so successful that they are Attila retiring. Yes, it's true. They are still retiring. They've never stopped. Robbie says, I don't think Paul ever liked Gene. That's the way his book paints it. Gene's first encounter turned Paul off. Gene thought John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and Gene Witz were the only good songwriters. Yeah, but you'd have to, that's when did he write that autobiography? That's Paul after having so much success as a member of Kiss, like, writing that. That's not Paul in the 70s, and that's not Paul, in the Wicked Lester days. I mean, sure, he probably was rubbed the wrong way, but quite clearly those two developed a bond that allowed them to do what they did. There has to be, you can't stay together that long and not be, have some sort of affinity or understanding in the very least. And I'm sure that those guys have moments through all the BS, the one we're about to watch not being one of them, where they sort of, you have a shared history with someone for that friggin' long. There's a moment where there's everybody in the room, and then it's you two versus everybody else, because only you and them were there for that thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. I think that's Paul sort of quarterback armchair next day revising his feelings about the situation. You know what I mean? So I don't know. What is Neon Knees says? I can't see your comments, Neon Knees. They're not showing up. I don't know what that's about. All right. No more preamble. Let's oh my God, wait a minute. It's very sticky right now. Did you know that something else that's sticky is ride stickers? Sorry, it was so bad. We'll do it after. Sorry, I didn't have it in me. It was so cheesy. It was so cheesy. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the clip, guys. All right, let me know if you can or cannot hear this. Okay, we're doing our thing. Let us begin. Hold on. Very important. Let me know if you can't hear it. Actually, I don't know if there's much as I can really do. I don't think so.
Okay, remember these are going to be for either one of you two, whoever wants to answer, okay? Let me know. Let's do it.
Waiting for speed.
So, right off the bat, so they're about to do this interview. I don't know if this is part of the Dick Clark special or if they're just someone's getting an opportunity to do the interview. Look at Gene's mug here. He just looks like a madman, and Paul looks like he just wants to get this over with. And I think, Gene used to wear the Crimson Ghost skull on his t-shirt. I don't know if he is right here, but it looks like he's wearing some kind of skull situation. Who knows? Okay. And let's continue.
What about that silly music in the background?
That's okay.
I knew that.
Okay, yeah, we got to go with the music, okay?
If you can turn it off, I'd love to, but that's in the park. I can turn it off, so let's just go.
Okay, here we go. Stand by.
And we're watching you no matter what.
I'm going to buy you a leg, Dave. You're going to be walking around me. So I want you to be looking at me.
No looking
Okay, I'm going to stand back here.
Paul sounds like he's dealing with like just a half-wit, no looking into the camera. No. And Gene just like it sounds like every other word out of Gene's mouth is just going to sound like such a goof. Like, oh, don't look at the camera. I knew that. Like, just shut up.
And I want to yell it out. And he'll walk in front of me.
Hold on 1 second.
Don't look into the camera like we've been here before and you look into the camera. Mind you, they've been doing this for 20 years now.
One little problem video-wise.
Yeah, there's two ugly guys in front of the camera. We got some video problem.
Okay.
Paul is so uncomfortable.
Here we go. Okay, guys. What was the wildest personal appearance you've ever made?
Well,
Do me a favor, one thing. If I ask a question, if you're going to respond, try to include the question in the answer.
Everyone on a walkie, please turn them off. Everyone on a walkie, please.
What was the wildest personal?
I cherish videos like this because this is just so. I mean, it's so revealing about like these personalities, these larger than life personalities, and you're just seeing what it's really like behind the scenes. It's fascinating, man.
Appearance you've ever made.
what was the wildest personal appearance?
Probably the wildest thing that ever happened to us was going to Brazil. And most of the time when we traveled around the world, people have told us how big we are in the countries. But when we got to Brazil, we did shows in stadiums, the biggest being 200,000 people. The smallest, which was the intimate show, we did 65,000 people. So it was pretty humbling to have military in front of you with guard dogs and be led in a military procession.
You know, I hate it when people use the word humbling when it's like something that's like a great feat. Like that's a tremendous feat. 65 to 200,000 people watching you and needing all that security. And he says it's pretty humbling. The definition of humbling is to recognize exactly what you are, but in sort of like a positive, you know, recognizing that you're at the right size. And it's like, but it usually generally means that you are less than what you think you are. And in this case, it's like recognizing that you're bigger than anything. So it's like kind of like a backhanded way of using the word humbling. And it bothers me to no end. I can't stand it when people, it's such a humble brag sort of thing to do it like this. It's just, I don't know. John recommends that everyone watch Kiss on the 1976 Paul Lynde Halloween special. That was my Ed Sullivan Beatles moment. I will check it out. I will definitely check it out. Dory likes Kiss. Jerry's in the middle. Not a biggest fan. Respects them and Danzig hates them. Okay.
It was pretty much the wildest thing that's happened to us.
What's the strangest request you've ever received from a fan?
The strangest request was having to do with a baby and a lady who didn't mind if I gave her one. That was pretty strange.
Oh, boy.
I declined.
So, so again, it's just like Paul's like 20 years. Oh boy. Like, God damn, I got you. You're doing the baby thing again. He's talking about the baby thing again. Just totally just so like fed up with each other. So, and like, you know, Gene is all about it. This is so strange. Like, this is such a strange clip.
What's the most unusual gift you've ever received?
Most unusual gift. The baby.
Yeah, the imaginary baby. We get so many gifts all the time that it's hard.
So we're going to see, it's about to happen right now. Look at the look on Gene's face. And if you're watching the podcast version, yes, we are available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts and all sorts of podcasts. By the way, if you're not subscribed, can you please subscribe to this channel or like, share, and comment on this video? Look at Gene's face. He looks like he just made in his diaper as Paul has dismissed his Paul has dismissed his notion of a woman wanting him to give her a baby. And that has not sat well with Gene because they're on camera. And this moment is surreal.
To say what the best is, you know, obviously you can always make up stories or tell things about women and
Gene's
rock
thinking
and roll
about it
and
right
partying.
now.
But I think the best thing and the biggest gift we've ever gotten is 20 years of doing what we do. And that comes from the people, and that comes from their heart and soul. So that's a little more important than, you know, we can talk about, oh, there's so many women. Any idiot can get a woman when they're on tour, but this is a lot more important and a lot more heartfelt than the bragging about the other stuff.
Would you cut?
You see, he just does not like. Paul is throwing him shade without looking at him, and he's had it. And we just hold on. I just stepped over it. Let's go back. Hold on. Ready?
And a lot more heartfelt than the bragging about the other stuff.
Would you cut? Oh, hold on 1 second. Cut this off for a second. Would you stop cutting me down in front of a camera? I don't go for that shit.
Go on.
I don't know. All of a sudden, like whatever I say, all of a sudden, don't listen to this idiot. Don't do that anymore.
Go on.
When was the first time you...
That was amazing.
Would you stop cutting me?
This is a lot more important and a lot more heartfelt.
So this is like the big part, but like, it's just, again, it's so like bananas to watch this because like, you know, Paul just is not going to go along with Gene's like his shtick. That's what it is. And then Gene, I mean, this moment, the only way to describe this moment is it's like what you imagine like when a woman is in a bad situation, in an abusive relationship. It's like Paul is acting like the wife, the wife who is abused and in public and doesn't want there to be a scene. So she just kind of goes like that kind of thing. And I know that sounds like that's a very sort of very generalized stereotype and but it's a very like blanket sort of generalization, but it's just the thing that really comes to mind. Like watch how he just sort of like Paul just was like, oh no, everything's fine, like ready right now.
Than the bragging about the other stuff.
Would you cut? Hold on 1 second. Cut this off for a second. Would you stop cutting me down in front of a camera? I don't go for that shit.
Go on.
Okay, go on. Like he doesn't want to doesn't want the confrontation. It's like just reminds me of that scenario. An angry husband, sort of, who's abusive towards his wife, that kind of thing. I don't know. It's crazy. Gene is saltier than a sack of pretzels. Is that what you mean to say? According to Paul from his book, he was Kiss and the others are all flawed. See, that there you go, Robbie. I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like that's Paul after he's had all the success as Kiss and brought all the stuff as Kiss and, just doesn't recognize, the reality of what he had with Gene. Heimwitz. Yeah. So there's just this like sort of it seems like a bad domestic spousal situation being sort of enacted here in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. Like this is the vibe that I get. I'm gonna watch it one more time.
Would you stop cutting me down in front of a camera?
Like if that camera was not rolling, that he would try and pop Paul right in the face. Who would win in a fight, by the way? Who's going to win in the fight? Is it going to be Gene? Is Gene going to win or is Paul going to win? I mean, I don't know if it's funny per se. He's Israeli, dude. He's a Jew from Israel. It's a Jewish name. I don't know what's so funny about that. In Paul's book, he admits so much self-fault and his F-ups along the way. I don't think it's fair to summarize the book that way. Interesting. So Robbie says that Paul's appraisal of everybody else is contrasts his own faults as well. That Paul is not the only one to be or that Paul is not without fault either. Gene comes off like the little brother who always gets side. You know what? I think I like that one better than my domestic situation, which feels a little bit more insensitive, and I like that one a lot better. Let's go with that instead of the first thing off the top of my head. Gene does feel like the little brother and the older brother who doesn't want to make a scene about it in front of the camera. And it's just kind of like, yeah, sure, whatever. That kind of thing.
Go on.
I don't know. All of a sudden, like whatever I say, all of a sudden.
He's like, I don't know. If whatever I say. And then he turns to the camera and he says, stop listening, idiot.
To this idiot. Don't do that anymore.
Stop listening to this idiot.
Go on.
I don't know. All of a sudden, like whatever I say, all of a sudden, don't listen to this idiot. Don't do that anymore.
Go on.
Don't listen to this idiot. Don't do that anymore. And Paul's just like doesn't even want to. He doesn't want to admit. He just wants to gloss over it. So uncomfortable. Robbie says he also does definitely point out everyone's faults. Don't get me wrong, but he definitely talks about where he went wrong. He's not without sin. I didn't read the whole book, but I listened to a lot of audio excerpts, and all of them, all of them are about Ace and Peter and Gene, and how all of their stuff. I have not listened. have not seen that stuff, but I've not read the book like Robbie, so I can't really comment. But everyone else's screw-ups were unfathomable and intolerable, including Gene in the 80s when he tried to get into movies. Yes, that I did read about how Gene wanted to become a big producer. That's where Trick or Treat comes from, and that's where Detroit Rock City comes from. I mean, that was his doing. Let's watch the rest of this clip. I don't think nothing else happens. That was the big dust up. But still, it's just super awkward. It's just super awkward and crazy. Let's do it one more time. Ready?
And a lot more heartfelt than the bragging about the other stuff.
Would you cut? Hold on 1 second. Cut this off for a second. Would you stop cutting me down in front of the camera? I didn't go for that shit.
Go on.
I don't know. All of a sudden, like whatever I say, all of a sudden, don't listen to this idiot. Don't do that anymore.
Go on.
What was the first?
You know what's so funny? Like when you contrast everything that Gene just said with how he looks, he's wearing this long leather trench coat, and he's kind of like he's like hunched down with his neck kind of hanging out, and he just looks like a goon, man. I can't explain it. I can't explain it. Robbie says in terms of Gene, because he just left Paul to handle Kiss 100% by himself, Paul didn't have movies to fall back on. It's not fair to just leave one person to handle a group and that Gene would reap the rewards. So it sounds like there was a time in the 80s where, Paul is just completely steering the ship and Gene is off trying to not only, he's trying to break into movies and do more. And that didn't really work out. It's funny. It's funny if you look at the trajectory. He does that. That doesn't work out. These guys try to chase the grunge trend for about 2 seconds. They do the acoustic thing. And then during the acoustic stuff, they reunite with Ace and Peter. And that leads to the 1996 makeup tour. In a weird kind of way, it is a similar trajectory to, Jerry Only a little bit, in the sense that Jerry left the Misfits. Jerry tried to do his own thing with Christ the Conqueror, even though it was not all one band as Kiss. Trying to do Christ the Conqueror. Christ the Conqueror doesn't work out, goes back to doing the Misfits, but a different version of the Misfits. Although I would say that Kiss from 1996 is very similar to Kiss, from 1981, 1973 and 1981, something like that. All right, let's listen on.
Time you realized what effect you had on your fans?
Probably the first time happened in New York City when we first got together. We were opening up for local groups that never really made it, and immediately we knew, because in the beginning we were just playing rock and roll and didn't really have a sense of what it really was, and then we saw the effect it had on the people, and then we immediately...
Like, I know that Gene has never taken a drink or a drug in his life, but he looks so strung out and crazy here. Like, he just looks absolutely insane. Like, if you don't think that, SEX isn't a drug, it most certainly is. And Gene is incredibly strung out on it.
We knew this is big. This is going to happen fast.
When you first started out, who were your own idols? When you first started, who were you looking up to in the way of music?
Well, there was so much happening with music. I think, obviously, Elvis and stuff like that has been an influence. But I think, more importantly, if you go back further, you get to the blues and stuff like that. And if you're going to be influenced by rock and roll, you got to go back a little further. So, obviously, you got Elvis, you got the Beatles, but you also have Howlin' Wolf, you have Muddy Waters, you have people who really wrote the book that everything's based on. Then, obviously, you get The Who, Led Zeppelin, things like that. But your homework's important.
I will say there is nobody is like a more seasoned interviewee than Paul Stanley. He is so good in front of the camera, even in a bad situation like this. This is like a train wreck of an interview, but even in a train wreck of an interview, he kind of can conduct himself. It's kind of amazing how he is able to just sort of output like that. Amy says Paul Stanley is in fact the driving force behind the band and most everything it does. Gene Simmons never met a microphone he didn't like and has never led anyone to believe anything other than ... the fact that he's the brains behind the business side of Kiss and that he calls the shots. I mean, I get that. Like I could understand how Paul takes over leadership while Gene pursues in movies. And then Gene never leaves. So he's still he has full ownership of the band, but now it's Paul who is in the driver's seat, like head on. But if you've watched the reality show, which I'm embarrassed to say that I have, the Family Jewels show, Gene loves to like sort of portray himself as this like business guru who makes all these, I got to make a business deal. Okay. So, and what's interesting, it's like he recognizes that he's full of himself and he knows that it's almost like he's like, well, if I'm aware that I'm full of myself and if I'm aware that I'm an a-hole, he put out an album called A-Hole. You know what I'm saying? If I'm aware of it, then I can continue to act like it unchecked because I'm aware of it and making fun of it and embracing it myself. And so it's like he too has like almost like this crafted persona. Well, I will say Paul does feel like he has, there's something more genuine to him. But again, I will say this time again, even after something like this, I think that there have to be moments, especially when it's them versus the other guys, there have to be moments where those guys, have affinity for each other, especially in like a real sort of big picture kind of way. Vince says, Robbie Bloodshed, I agree. It was unfair due to the pressure put on Paul, but he actually became a better songwriter due to working with many outside writers. Yes, I know this. I know he used to wear the Misfit sculpture. I thought he was in this interview. I just love what he's wearing. He has a skull. He's wearing a cross. He's Jewish, but he's wearing a cross on his neck. And he's got a big leather jacket duster. And he looks like he's strung out on drugs despite being completely sober. What a goof, man. John says the first time I ever saw Jerry and Doyle in person was in the Radio City Music Hall lobby for Kiss's Lick It Up show. They were drawing a crowd. Were they dressed? Wow. Were they dressed as, I got to tell you, John has all these incredible, John comes on the show. He talks about the first Danzig show. He has all these incredible friggin' other little anecdotal things and only comments on them under videos. Dude, I would have loved to have heard about this. So were they in makeup? What was their deal? That's so funny. Yes, they were. John says, yes, they were all done up. Didn't they used to go, those guys used to go to, the Misfits guys used to show up at Kiss conventions. Jerry and Doyle in the early 90s would show up at Kiss conventions and walk around fully decked out. I think that's where they would sell a lot of those Misfits decks that they found under Mrs. Anzalone's deck in the back were sold at those Kiss conventions or something like that. Robbie says that Doyle claims to have fallen asleep during that show. Interesting. Yeah, but he loves Paul Stanley. He is like, he hangs up posters of Paul Stanley in his tour bus. All right, let's keep watching this thing.
Did you ever have your clothes
the silence.
I gave my clothes willingly. They didn't have to be stolen.
Every once in a while, the trucks would wind up in the wrong city, whatever, but it doesn't really matter. You get up on stage and do the show anyway with whatever you're wearing. But, in the beginning when we were doing 6-7 days a week of touring consistently, sometimes the truck would veer off and wind up in Timbuktu. It doesn't matter, though.
Gene almost looks like, he doesn't look like a real person. He looks like an animatronic Muppet that's being, like, controlled underneath underneath the jacket, like he's like an animatronic, and he's just answer. I don't know. He's just there's something so weird about Gene in this friggin' thing. He just looks really weird.
What are your fan letters like?
Our fan letters are typical of any other band. We get letters from women, we get all that kind of stuff, but we also get stuff about how we've influenced people, how they wouldn't be doing what they're doing now if it hadn't been for us. We get letters from, you name it, from lawyers, from doctors, and these aren't ones who are sending bills either. So it really runs the gamut.
Do fans ever try to meet you in devious ways?
Yeah, you will meet members of your family that you never knew existed. You'll meet brothers, sisters that you never knew you had.
Look at him. He's not a real human being. He is absolutely a Muppet.
And in fact, one show I actually had a security guy standing in front of me with a guy, a teenage guy, who was saying, "It's Bob. It's your brother, Bob." I don't have any
Oh my
brother,
God.
Bob.
They are miserable. They are so miserable. Look at them. Look at You know what I want? I want a painting of this. I want American Gothic with the pitchfork. I want these guys American Gothic style with Gene like this. My God.
How many hours a week do you devote to creating music?
I think music is something that
I love how Gene doesn't even answer. He just waits for Paul to say something.
is in your blood, and even when you're not playing, and even when you
Yeah, see, I mean, that's the amazing thing about Paul is like, I just think music is in your, like, he just pulls these answers out of nowhere, out of his back pocket. These like sort of lofty, abstract answers that kind of answer the question, but are also kind of like, you could kind of like interchange them and fit them into a variety of different scenarios. So it sounds like you're saying something of substance. You know what I mean?
you're not writing, you're kind of like building up a reservoir of stuff to write about. I don't really work by the clock. The reason I got into music in the first place was so that I wouldn't have to punch a clock. This is something that can happen any hour of the day or night. It's really, you're on call 24 hours a day for inspiration, however it comes.
That actually makes sense.
Have your fans ever got past your security, and if so, what happened?
It happens. It happens a lot, in fact. And our security have standing orders to treat them as nicely as they can, because without our fans, we wouldn't be here. And it's not just a phrase we throw around. And as you can tell, fans are right here. There's no big deal. I mean, we respect them and they respect us. And adulation is one thing, but being mistreated is another.
You know, it's interesting. I really wonder how true that is. Like, I want to believe that's the truth, because Kiss has always been very in touch with their fans. I mean, that's why they have like this loyal, diehard fan base. I mean, and you could chalk it up to ego too, but it's like, how cool is it that they do? I wish I was a big enough Kiss fan that I would want to go on a Kiss cruise. I mean, maybe I wouldn't actually. I don't know what that would be like. Could you imagine Jerry Only's cruise, like Jerry's cruise for the Misfits? Like, when are we gonna get that? That's what I want for the kids. No, that'd be really great.
It's not a problem.
Look, he's such a Muppet, dude. Look, he's got his hands in his pockets. He doesn't look like a real person.
Airport
It's like he is being controlled from behind that stage.
stories, anything memorable ever happened in an airport?
Memorable things happen in airplanes, but in airports, you get snowed in, you wind up sleeping on a seat, waiting to get a plane. You're in between flights. But airport stories, I don't know.
Let me see this. Is there anybody left in the music industry that you would still like to meet, or you'd still like to play with?
I have a feeling at some point I'm going to meet Elvis, but that's not going to be for a while yet.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You want us to leave this on?
Thank
No.
you. Yeah, yeah.
He's such a goof, man. He's such a goof, dude. I'm not gonna watch this one. no, 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 no. That's it. That's it. Um, he's a goof, man. He's a goof troop. Yes, that exactly. It's grunge. It's grunge era Kiss. That's what it is, man. That's what it is. Robbie says Paul Stanley really shows off his perfect articulation and never-ending analogies on Joe Rogan. It's insane but astonishing. Are you talking about that interview that he did on 2013? If so, I've seen that one, and it's interesting to hear him talk about the pirating stuff, the music pirating stuff. I don't know if that's the particular one you are speaking of. John says, I remember seeing Paul being visually annoyed at Vinnie Vincent's extended guitar solos. Interesting. Very interesting. I am blown away by 80s era Kiss. They really do. You know what? Let's just look at it real quick. I know we did this very recently. I'm always sort of blown away by this. Let me see if I could find it. Super quick, guys. Super quick. Maybe I can't. What is it? Kiss Animalize full concert. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, this is the one. I mean, this is so outrageous. I was blown away because like they just for them to like take off the makeup again. We just said this earlier that they take off the makeup. Super ballsy thing to do. Not an easy thing to do, to take off the makeup, but they do it and then they go out. Hold on, let's pull up the let's see here. Let's start at Detroit Rock City real quick. This is pretty cool. No, that's not what we want. Oh no, we got the spinning wheel of death. Damn it. Come on. Look at them. Everything's faster. They're going faster. It's really cool. It's a good what's it called? It's a good stage show, man. They put in so much energy. You know, they can't rely on any of the theatrics that they used to have. So they just replace it with high energy. I mean, really high energy. The drummer, I think that's Eric Carr. He just goes so fast, man. And they don't pull out any punches. They're tight, sound really good, man. And it's almost like a punk version of Kiss in a weird kind of way. I said, honey, that ain't no pistol. That's my love gun. Yeah. I mean, they play it so fast. Look at him. Boom. That's why he has both of his hips replaced from all of that prancing around with high heels on. Just eroded his joints, man. But you can't deny, I mean, listen, for as long as he did it, kind of amazing. Now, if you see the footage of Kiss now, he just sort of like stands in place. He can't really move around anymore, especially they're wearing all that stuff. You hear, I mean, he's not really wearing heavy gear the way, say, Gene is. Gene is wearing much heavier stuff. You pull the trigger on my love gun. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if Gene or Paul ever met a misfit in person. Maybe Jerry. I don't know. Be interesting for sure. In Paul's book, in Paul's book, he rips on Gene constantly and everybody else in the band. Best part about Paul's book is when he rips on Gene's crappy movies. I wonder if Jerry and Doyle have hip problems from their boots. I mean, they weren't doing the high energy stuff that these guys were doing. I mean, you know, Paul Stanley, you know, for what? I mean, 35. I don't know when he got his stuff replaced, but like for as long as he was doing it, he did it for so friggin' long, dude. Just dancing around like that and just getting just eroding his joints. If you watch Blackie Lawless from Wasp Live, he copied all of Paul's stage movements. Interesting. John says, I have insight. I knew this guy, Jeff Mellon, who was Eric Carr. I knew this guy, Jeff Mellon, who was Eric Carr's girlfriend's brother. Wait, girlfriend's brother. It's the brother of Eric Carr's girlfriend, who saw firsthand Vinnie Vincent sitting on an NYC curb crying after just being fired. Whoa. That's nuts. Yeah, that's a big split. Vinnie Vincent was only in the band for like 2 years or something, but like he seems like a cult favorite amongst fans, you know? I don't know what that's about. All right, let's skip over to Black Diamond. Did they play Black Diamond? Yeah, here we go. I love that song. Is that what this is? This is called Unmasked? I thought this was Animalize. No, this is Animalize Live. I mean, those outfits are nuts. Just nutty outfits. You know, yeah, they're just playing it so fast. They play all the songs way fast. Look at him running and running and running. I don't know if he's wearing high heels in this particular show, but just jumping across the stage for, you know, an hour and a half while they're, you know, not to mention they're, you know, performing really high energy. Now, did they do the thing that they used to do with Ace? Black Diamond, you know, this is the problem. It's the same thing that they ran into with Robo and the Misfits. You're playing so fast that you almost lose the soul of the song. You're just playing it too fast. You can't enjoy it. Look at them. They're all running up the staircase. And now you could just almost hear Paul telling them how they're going to do it. Now we'll run up the staircase and go to the top of the stairs. They're like little boys running up to their clubhouse. Yeah, here it is. No, they're not doing the thing. They're not doing the thing they used to do with Ace. And it's really cheesy. It's a cheesy move, but it just worked. You know, that's what Kiss is, cheesy. Now, okay, we gotta look at one more video. Hold on. Let's look at one more video. I want to look at the original Black Diamond video from 75. Let me find it. That'll be the final thing we look at. Okay. Black Diamond Kiss. Let's see here. Down, 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 down. Down, 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 out on the streets for a living. Black Diamond. Black Diamond. Here, this is cool. You like the template? Oh, that's what you're referring to. The template of cheese metal. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, this is gnarly, man. This is from 1975, and I mean that is the beginning of the band, you know. And hold on a second. I'm not going to watch this whole thing. Let's go to the part. Look at how crazy Gene looks in 1975 in that outfit, man. I mean, that is trippy. Really is trippy. It is absolutely borderline kabuki. It's like, it's so kabuki inspired in like the coolest way. Here. I think this is it. Oh no, right here. Now what you're gonna watch. Look how Gene. Look at that fiendish grin. Gene has this fiendish grin. He turns the mic to the side, right, so they could do this move that they've clearly worked out. I love it, man. It's like they're worshiping Ace's guitar playing. And it's just there's something about the synchronized moves. It's just really I like watching it. I just like watching it. I can't describe it. I don't know. It's just really great. And yeah, I mean, Ace is playing good guitar here. I met Ace several times. I kind of didn't even really know that I knew him. I didn't know it was Ace when I met him. I didn't find out until I was watching when Kiss ruled the world on VH1, and I was like, wait a minute, I know that guy. That's Ace Frehley? It was really funny. Knew his daughter, too, a little bit. Monique. Yeah, look at that. Just really, really neat. I mean, that version of Kiss is really cool. I mean, it's goofy, too, but, like, you could see why that was so popular in the late 70s, man. You know? And it's not like they're doing any one kind of thing in particular. Like, you can't, like, exactly say what they are. They're doing just this random assortment. It's like a potpourri of theatrics that just all blend together and make Kiss. Like, as we said, Kabuki, there's elements of Kabuki. There's elements of, you get the fireworks. He's doing, they're doing circus stuff, with the what's it called? They're smashing the instruments, of course. But they're doing the Who thing with smashing the instruments, but the whatchamacallit, the explosions, like the Who as well. But breathing fire, just all that stuff. Oozing blood. All of that stuff. It just made for a great rock and roll show, man. What could you say? It's great. It's really great. Before we're going to go to some comments in a second. Before we do, I have to say I've gotten really, really sticky since the beginning of this video, and not in that kind of way. But you know what else is sticky? Stickers. Stickers are sticky just the way that I'm sticky after watching these videos. Riotstickers.com. That was a terrible segue into the sponsor. Riotstickers.com. From Us is powered by Riotstickers.com. What does that mean? It means that right here, for 50%, you can get 50% off 50 stickers from riotstickers.com using the promo code FROMUS, okay? Normally it's $59 for 50 3-inch by 3-inch stickers. But if you go into the description of this video and you click on the link, it will take you to the landing page and you can get your stickers from Josh, Sharpie Riot. You cannot beat riotstickers.com. They know what's up. They know what they're doing. I did business with riotstickers.com. I love doing business with them. And that price is $29.50 with the promo code FROMUS, FRUMESS. You're going to get 50% off. You can't beat it. Let's just take a little look-see at the video. See.
We make stickers, banners, and buttons too. Posters and promo cards. There's nothing we can't print for you. From stage backdrops to bass drum heads. We can print on shirts. We can print on hats. We can print on pants. Cheap prices and high quality. Quick turnaround times and free shipping. We also offer free artwork support. Great customer service and so much more. Riotstickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb.
Okay. Let's go to some comments now as we wind down here. See what people are saying. Paul Stanley was tapped to produce Guns N' Roses' first album. Think about it. What did he produce? Guns N' Roses' first album? I don't know. That's another band I don't know nothing about. Nothing. Paul Stanley actually sang it better too at one concert in 97 or 98 when Peter Criss pulled a diva move and said he was quitting one show. Oh, I did not know that. I'll tell you what, from what I saw from reading those excerpts, it just always felt like he was trying to take something away. Like the one thing that Peter Criss had was that he sang on those songs, and he's beloved by the fans. And I feel like that always pissed Paul Stanley off. Like I feel like that always rubbed him the wrong way in a variety of different things. And so those guys always had, they always had a dagger out for him, no matter how things were going to play up, whether Peter Criss is being a diva, whether they're screwing him over with money, whatever the situation is, it's never going to work out. And those guys just cannot work out. I do like that Paul has stated, no matter how he feels about those guys, he always says, look, we would not have gotten to where we are without them. And he always gives them that credit, even if he takes a lot of it away in his book, which he does. He definitely does do that from the excerpts that I listened to. John agrees with Robbie. F. Peter Criss. He ruined the final autograph I needed for my History book by smearing his autograph at the side of his palm. I'm really sorry to hear that. And I have to tell you, that's not the first time that I've heard of him doing something similar. Apparently he had a lot of problems with that History book, and that I think maybe I read it in an interview or something. Maybe he was talking to Eddie Trunk. He had a lot of sour grapes about that book. Was this in the 90s when this happened? He had a lot of sour grapes about some book and would sometimes not even sign it for people or something. John wants to add salt to the wound and say that he's a light drum hitter. He was lame. Maybe had jazz chops, but still lame. Ouch. Von Fett Miller says, a couple of years ago, I took my then 11-year-old to see Kiss's first U.S. show of their current final tour, or whatever they're calling it, LOL, and it was awesome. Now, one thing that Gene has said about Paul is that Paul can't sing anymore. Paul has lost his ability to sing, and that they're using, what's it called? They're using backing stuff, backmaskers, that if you watch certain video, I know Eddie Trunk has called this out a whole bunch, that when they started, it's weird to think that they started that farewell tour in 2018, kind of. That's crazy. But that they were calling him out for that, and that Gene added fuel to that fire. John, I would have had a heart attack. That stinks. You're right on the money. Light hitter, always the weakest link. Wow, you guys hate Peter Criss. Oh, Peter's solo album is great for target practice. Ow! But I don't understand. Wasn't Beth like one of their biggest hits? And that's the one that Peter wrote and sang on or something? I don't know. Oh, you guys don't like Peter Criss. All right. I get it. Look, I don't have any horse in this race. I have absolutely no horse in this race. I could give a monkey's asshole either way, either which way. I just know I like Black Diamond. I like Love Gun. I like Detroit Rock City. I like Strutter. I love the Donnas do a cover of Strutter. That's really great. And so shockingly, despite the fact that I am not a fan of Kiss per se, Detroit Rock City is one of my all-time favorite films of all time. That's right. Detroit Rock City, super important, monumental film for me. And I love it to death. Truly. We got a lot more comments. Paul says, no, sorry. Minister of Darkness says, Paul has not been able to sing since 2005. Wow. Foot and mouth Gene moment. He said Kiss music was about enjoying life and beauty in the world, unlike Black Sabbath. But their new drummer was Eric Singer, who played in Sabbath. Woo! Once Kiss career ends, so does Eddie Trunk. Guy has nothing to talk about aside from Paul or Gene. I guess that's something that me and Eddie Trunk have in common, because once I run out of things to talk about with the Misfits, I'm in big trouble. I constantly stress about that. I'm like, I have nothing to talk about. What am I going to do? I can only imagine what Eddie Trunk. No, but like Eddie Trunk could pour over, the ass crack hair Gene Simmons for the next 20 decades with all the stuff that's out there if you really wanted to. Beth was originally called Beck. It was garbage originally. Bob Ezrin the producer of Destroyer, was the real brains behind Breath. Interesting. I wonder if he got a piece of that action. You think he got any points for that? They were definitely using backing tracks at the show. This is Von Fett, who said he took his kid to the show. There's a point during Psycho Circus where Eric messed up on the drums, and Paul turns around to yell at him just as Paul's voice is heard saying, "Yeah, that's hilarious." The Replacements do a great cover of Black Diamond. I am gonna go look that up as soon as I get off this. You got lots of bands. No, I know. I have lots of bands to dissect, but it's just funny because like Robbie's comment was funny because that's how I feel sometimes. I'm like, oh no, it's so precious. That's why when like Glenn or like Doyle has done like an interview, I'm like, oh boy, yay, something to pour over. Woo. No, I mean that's why we expanded. That's why we expand here. So we can do, we talk about the Ramones. We talk about a lot of stuff. We talk about Beatles here. Plenty to go around. I Was Made for Loving You was the Ramones' favorite Kiss song. I think that might be the most punk rock thing I've ever heard, actually. Oh yeah, he gets a big piece of that pie. He's credited as a co-writer on a bunch of tracks on Destroyer. So even in those early days, Gene and Paul had help. They had help. They had Bob Ezrin in there doing stuff. That's interesting. So they've always needed help with songwriting, whether they were working together or not. That's why like Bruce Kelnick and Vinnie Vincent, all those guys were so important, I guess. They're kind of integral to that sort of stuff, Boy, songwriting credit, man. You get a co-writing credit on a song that blows up. That is like minting yourself, especially when it's like a hit. People laugh at one-hit wonders, but like you don't realize it's the one-hit wonders. Okay, you could be the Grateful Dead, and it would be very lucrative to be the Grateful Dead and have a songbook of 500 songs and, a vault containing 30 years worth of recordings that you could release literally to the end of time, right? I mean, that's what they could do with Grateful Dead stuff. Or you could be the guy that wrote fucking Mambo Number 5, or like, just that one song that, or especially if it's a Christmas song and you are eating every year. Just to give you a tandem understanding of this, Paul McCartney, we know how rich Paul McCartney is. He's worth over $1 billion, one of the most successful songwriters. He's got the Beatles catalog alone. Do you know what track lucratively brings him more money every year than like anything else, or what's kept him afloat, Let's just say what definitely helped during, in rougher years. Not that Paul McCartney had any real rough years. It's simply having a wonderful Christmas time. Why? Because he was the writer, he was the producer, he published it, and he was the engineer, and he played every instrument. That track is entirely Paul McCartney. Do you know how much he makes per year on that one track? $400,000. He makes $400,000 a year from that song. I don't know if it's like that today, but it was like that for many, 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 many years. Even even if you're in a movie, like look at like the actors in like A Christmas Story, or like even in like if you were in Home Alone, they're still cashing residual checks. They're not big residual checks, but if you got a check for $1,000 every year around Christmas time because you acted in a movie when you were 7 years old, I'm not talking about Paul McCartney. I'm not talking about Macaulay Culkin either. I'm talking about one of like the little like siblings or something. Like that's pretty awesome, dude. That is pretty awesome. So yeah. Vince says Ace Frehley was, and maybe still is, a big collector of German military paraphernalia, and so was Jeff Hanneman from Slayer. Oh, there's a lot of people I know that collect German paraphernalia. It's you'd be surprised. Very very off-putting. I found it to be very off-putting. but maybe that's just me personally. Peter Chris didn't play at all in the last 2 albums he's credited on. I knew this. I did know. Pretty sure they copied Slade a bit. Heard about Black Diamond Brigade, a supergroup featuring members of Faith No More, Satyricon, and Turbo Negro. I have not. We do a whole series on Desmond Child's songwriting credits. I bet we could. Kiss was the first mainstream band that I was into. I remember being in preschool or maybe kindergarten, and while all the other kids were cutting out snowflakes from folded pieces of paper, I was folding pieces of paper and cutting out Gene's demon makeup instead of snowflakes. That's awesome. That's a great memory. Thank you for sharing that. Brian May is the same with the amount of royalties he gets from We Will Rock You. Every sporting event in the world has to pay year round. Yeah. I mean, that's just one Queen song. That's not even Bohemian Rhapsody, which, by the way, owes a debt of credit to Michael Myers, Mike Myers, insisted on having that song be put in Wayne's World, which gave Queen a bit of resurgence in the early 90s and really sort of solidified Bohemian Rhapsody for a whole new generation. And it was very interesting to see in the movie Bohemian Rhapsody, to see that Michael Myers plays the guy who's giving Queen like crap about putting Bohemian Rhapsody out as a single because it's such a long song. And I just think it's so apropos that it was him, when in real life, he was such a proponent of getting it on the soundtrack. Really cool stuff. Did you have fun tonight, guys? I had fun. That was fun. It wasn't too much beef. It was a light beef. It was a low fat beef. There was no real beef in that beef. We'll pick out a good beef. What do you want to see talked about on here beef wise? Send me some beefs that you think would be good for this channel, and we'll beef it up. Because I like doing the beefs. The beefs are fun. That last one we did was great, even though it was demonetized because of some of Johnny Rotten's language, which really frustrates me. It was limited. It was limited because of his language that was used. Kiss is my favorite soap opera, says DLW says, Kiss is my favorite soap opera and certainly one of my favorite bands ever. An acquired taste. I loathed them in my teens and got them when I turned 25. It's funny. I didn't I know one of their most popular songs. We've talked about Black Diamond several times now, but I know one of the most popular songs was Black Diamond, but I did not come to Black Diamond until I was in my late 30s. And I was like, holy crap, that's a great song. It came late. Michael Bolton wrote a Kiss song too. Anyone knows which one? I did not know that. Kiss is very interesting. It is an interesting sort of there's a lot of history here. A lot of history. Ace was the best part of Kiss. Yeah, a lot of people will agree with you. A lot of loyal Ace fans, right? Isn't rule of thumb on the solo albums? Ace's solo album is like the barn burner, right? Something like that. Every time we play this one, it lights up like a damn Christmas tree. Oh, Henry Rollins and Greg Ginn. That's a pretty good one. That could be a good one. Ace showed up in Gene's hotel room in a fascist uniform, knowing full well his mother was in a concentration camp, even though he's my childhood hero. F that a-hole. Yeah, I mean, that's terrible. That's really nasty. And as someone who is Jewish myself, I would take great offense to that. But I don't, why is he doing it? He's doing it to piss off Gene. He's doing it to piss off Gene. He's being a dick, inexcusable, I might add. And again, that's something I would punch Ace in the face for as well. But yeah, let me tell you, I've been shocked by people. I've been really shocked by people with stuff like that. I saw things that really, really took me aback. But it's not a nice thing to do. Not a nice thing to do, especially I have to say, as I said at the beginning of the stream, I really admire Gene's story is his story, the story of his mother, and the fact that he comes from nothing. It really is unreal. Like the way he just sort of, you know. Okay, someone else seconds the Greg Ginn beef. That's good. I'm gonna have to sort of dig in to put that together. It's gonna be a little bit more. There's not like a single video that we could watch that will help us. We'll have to sort of take a look at that from a lot of different angles. Glenn Danzig versus Mankind, of course. Forever was the song that Michael Bolton co-wrote with Paul. Ace is so delusional, he thinks that Scorsese should direct his biopic. Paul, okay, that's crazy. Paul donned the uniform as well. Little known fact, Paul being a Jew, donning the fascist uniform. Not a proud moment for Paul. Shame on him. Sean McGowan. I will tell you that I was I had an option. I was in a place where I had an option where I could sleep on a mattress underneath a fascist flag of that variety, and chose instead to sleep in a RV outside because I refused to sleep under that flag. And drew a little Star of David too in that house. Nobody knew I was a Jew. Crazy. So crazy. Really let that one sort of roll off my shoulders. Jello versus the Dead Kennedys. That's a great one. Mark, I don't know who that is. I don't know who the Connor is. And I don't know. Is that wrestling? With David Lee Roth versus Van Halen? That's a good one. Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll do another beef. When the beef comes to me, we'll pick one of those. I like the Rollins Greg Ginn is a good one, but I got to do some reading. I got to read up on that one a little bit. I read the book, The Story of Black Flag, 6-pack, The Story of Black Flag. It's a pretty good read. But in that book, they don't really make it. It's not really like, I mean, Greg Ginn is such like a passive aggressive guy. No, not Jeff from Mello. Jeff from Aselli. Jeff from Aselli. That's right. Oh God. What a terrible situation. If anybody wants to know what I'm referring to, go look up the Blitzkid Tour Stories clip, or go find it in the Loki episode where I talked about what happened almost 10 years ago next year. And it's funny, I just found I do a video journal. I've kept a video journal for many, many, many years. And I found that video journal entry, and it was just so interesting to hear what I said in that video journal entry at that time. That's what's amazing about having a video journal. Like, I could tell you what time of day it was. I could tell you what I was wearing. It's so much more than just a written journal. But the nice thing about having a written journal is that you're thinking about every word that you're kind of writing down. It's cool. Oh, Screaming Trees. Sorry. Yeah, not Screaming Trees is a huge blind spot. We could do Pixies and Kim Deal would also be a good one. Ozzy and Sabbath, a good one. Oh, I'm about to say something that's going to piss so many people off. If you have to give me a choice between Ozzy and Dio, I'm going to pick Dio. Yeah, if we were going to do it, it would be everyone on SST versus Greg Ginn. Greg Ginn versus the world. Dio and Vivian Campbell. You guys you have millions and millions of them. This was a really fun stream. I have to go to sleep now. Tomorrow night, we're going to do the Streaming Evil Live show early because on Wednesday, we're doing Nightmare Alley, a review of Nightmare Alley, the film noir that was reimagined by what's his face? Guillermo del Toro did a fantastic job, masterpiece. So tune in for that. Check out, we just reviewed The Matrix on this channel. So if you watch the new Matrix and you want to hear what our thoughts were, I had my friend Bob Rose on. Go check that out. We also reviewed Spider-Man recently. We did Ghostbusters. Go check those out. We got a couple other beefs. We did the beef between Marky Ramone and Johnny Rotten. That was a lot of fun. Got some stuff coming up. More stuff, more videos for the Patreons. That's right. If you're a Patreon subscriber, stay tuned. I have to re-up on the Lodi files. So that's been a process. But as I always say, when I say I'm going to deliver something, I deliver it. It just might take me a little bit longer than normal. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Happy New Year. Right, exactly. Peace and hair grease. Maybe we'll find more to talk about with Kiss too. I'll try to do another Kiss episode. Seems to be an enjoyable sort of topic. I like talking about it for sure. But like I said, there's lots of Patreon videos coming. Do you know anything about the Patreon? Let me tell you about it. Peace and hair grease.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jeff. So I've decided to make a Patreon. What is Patreon? I don't know how to define a Patreon. Let me look it up. Patreon is a membership platform that makes it very easy for creators to get paid for the things that they're already creating. I want to do it full time. I want this to be my full-time job. In my efforts to make that happen, I've set up this platform. Is it going to work? Is it going to be successful? I don't know, but I would rather try and crash and burn than not try at all. The goal is to create enough passive revenue so that I can continue to do this full-time, uninterrupted. Why? Because I love to do this. I love creating content. I love making videos. I love shooting films. I love doing podcasts. In case you couldn't tell, I love to talk and I never shut the fuck up. So right now I've kept the Patreon incredibly simple. There's 2 tiers, and that may change in the future. The Murdergram is a simple way to extend support for all of the hours and hours of free content on the channel for nothing more than $1. 38 cents goes to Patreon. What's $1.38, eh? It's less than a cup of coffee, but it's a great way that you can show support for very little effort. When you divide that $1.38 by the hours and hours and hours of time spent listening to this endless drivel of content, the dollar cost average works out. Next up is the YouTube casualty for $6.66. The YouTube casualty is loaded to the gills. Enjoy the archive ad-free, as well as ad-free early access to special docu-style podcast videos, music reaction commentaries, and the like, a month before they drop on YouTube, loaded with ads, I might add. You're also going to get exclusive content and behind-the-scenes content that is not available on YouTube or anywhere else. So you get to peek behind the veil. And believe me, there's a couple of choice pieces. Most of all, more than anything, whether you join the Patreon or not, I just want to thank each and every one of you that comes to the channel, that watches all the shows, that leaves comments, that participates, that subscribes. That's really the most important thing. This is just trying to find a way to earn a living as an artist. And with that, thank you for my TED Talk. Join the Patreon, because we need you!
66 cents.